On page 71, know then that the vowel point Choylem 78 is at the head and beginning of all desires, and that it is not without reason that the Choylem 78 attests that Hashem is, was, and will be. Is and was and will be. Hayah v'hoyveh v'yiyah. 78. Likewise, contemplate that the Choylem is the upper vowel, and thus moves the letter Yud that attests to the upper world, that is the world of intellect. What has been hinted at here should be adequate for any intelligent person who knows the received knowledge. Thus, it is the simple and refined vowel Choylem that moves the simple and refined letter Yud, and the motion of the entire world is included in this motion. That is, if you contemplate units of hundreds, there are Yud, 10. If you contemplate units of thousands, there are Yud, 10. And if you contemplate units of 1, there are Yud, 10. The letters Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Daled also equal Yud, 10. We thus see that the Yod is the foundation that the entire world revolves around, and that the Yod is itself moved by the vowel point Choylem. Therefore, it should be clear from every angle that the world of intellect, which is the Yod, is moved by the Choylem. That is, he who is and was and will be. Hayveh v'hayah v'yiyah. 78, like Choylem is 78. That is, all levels revolve around he who is and was and will be. Hayveh v'hayah v'yiyah. 78. Hashem, blessed is he and blessed is his name. Thus, all motion and all beings in existence attest that Hashem, blessed is he, is absolutely one and alone and unchanging, and that he is the foundation of everything. With the above in mind, contemplate, my brother, and understand everything that was explained about the Choylem. Through this, you will understand the truth of the motion of the intellect, which is the 10th, and that it solely attests to the Choylem 78 and nothing more. In the same vein, contemplate the fact that salt, melach, equal to 78, was primary in the preparation of the sacrificial offerings, and that all else was secondary, whereas the salt, melach, 78, was primary. This is as stated, is bland food eaten without salt, melach? Contemplate what this verse is attesting to, namely that salt, melach, 78 is primary, whereas all else is secondary, just as the Choylem 78 is primary, whereas all other beings are secondary to it, to which this verse clearly attests. It is not without reason that the verse states, you shall salt 78 melach, all your meal offerings with salt, melach 78. Do not omit the salt covenant of your God from your meal offering. Offer salt, melach 78 on all your offerings. In other words, whenever we come close, mitkarvin, to Hashem, by bringing offerings, korbanos, the aspect of salt, melach 78, which corresponds to the true reality of the Choylem 78, is present, as it states, offer salt, melach, 78, on all your offerings, korbancha. Contemplate and understand that salt, melach, 78, rectifies the flavor of all foods, and all foods are improved through it. Furthermore, with the absence of salt, various deficiencies can arise. Moreover, salt, 78, is used in the preparation and preservation of meat so that it will not become putrid and rotten. Regarding this, contemplate the words of our sages of blessed memory in Tractate Avot, that one of the wonders of the Holy Temple was that the sacred flesh never became putrid. In other words, when the Jewish people held strongly to the covenant of salt 78, melach, which refers to the Choylem 78, and they were experts in the matter of salting, melach 78, then the miracle occurred and the sacred flesh never became putrid, which is one of the wondrous miracles of the Holy Temple. Thus, when we rectify our traits, just as salt 78 rectifies all that is secondary to it, we become fitting for the divine presence to dwell upon us. Know, therefore, that salt 78 is equal to Choylem, not only numerically, but it also shares the same letters in reverse. In the same manner, contemplate the matter of the showbread, lechem hapanim, and understand what it alludes to. Footnote 73, that is, bread lechem 78 also shares the same letters and value as salt, melach 78, and Choylem, all of which refer to he who is and was and will be. Hayveh v'hayah v'yiyah 78. It is noteworthy that, as we have mentioned before, the term panim means inner and thus refers to the inner aspect of the bread, as will be mentioned momentarily. Realize that the showbread lechem apanim was a constant, as it says, and you shall set showbread lechem apanim upon the table before me always, tamid. In other words, this bread lechem 78 also corresponds to the chaylim 78 and is the aspect of the innermost of the innermost. Pnim hapnimiyam. Contemplate the fact that both the bread lechem 78 and the salt melach 78 were constants in the holy temple. On the simplest of levels, it is understood that bread lechem is the staple of life that sustains the world. Nonetheless, the Torah informs us that not by bread lechem alone does man live, but man lives by all that issues from the mouth of Hashem. That is, it all depends on Hashem, who is attested to by the Chaylim 78. For he is the original being and the source of all sources, as the verse continues. But man lives by all that issues from the mouth of Hashem. For ultimately, the significance of the Chaylim 78 is that it attests to Hashem, blessed is He, as known. With all the above in mind, contemplate that there are movers that themselves are moved, and there are movers, that is, the separate intellects, who have no mover other than the Creator Himself. May He be blessed and exalted. For it is Hashem, blessed is He, who moves everything, both in general and in particular, whereas He Himself is the unmoved mover, who has no mover aside for Himself. Blessed is He. With this realization, contemplate the fact that the chaylim is included in the general category of the most refined aspect of intellect, that moves the intellect as a whole, and it thus hints to the motion of the upper world. Understand that all beings are entirely dependent upon the point of the intellect, which is the very beginning of the motion that is drawn forth from Hashem, blessed is He. Now, everything we have awakened to regarding the chaylim should be sufficient for any intelligent person to contemplate its true meaning. We therefore shall continue to explain the remaining matters under investigation with the help of Hashem, blessed is He. Having awakened to the general matter of the chaylim, we must now awaken to another matter to which the chaylim is related. That is, there is a vowel that inclines towards the chaylim in its pronunciation, but is not identical. The vowel is actually a combination of two vowels, which are the shiva and the kametz conjoined as follows. It sounds similar to the chaylim, but is not exactly the same. Now, what you should know about the vowel shiva kamatz, equal to 533, is that it is like the eye of the chashmal, ke'en ha-chashmal, 533. But is not the actual eye of the chashmal. That is, it is similar to the pronunciation of the chaylim, but it is not the chaylim. This is why we say that the Shiva Kamatz 533 is only like the eye of the Chashmal, Ke'en HaChashmal 533, in that it inclines toward and is similar to the pronunciation of the Chaylim, but is not the actual eye of the Chashmal, Ein HaChashmal, and it is not a Chaylim. The term the eye of the Chashmal, Ein HaChashmal, refers to the essential existence of the Chashmal. For the term ayin, or Ein, refers to the essential source, as can be seen in the term a spring of water, ein hamayim, wherein the term ayin refers to the source that the stream of water is drawn from. Likewise, the eye of the sphere, ein hagalgal, is the foundational center point and beginning of the existence of the sphere. It should be pointed out, however, that the eye of the chashmal, ein hachashmal, which is its foundational point, is above, whereas the eye of the sphere, ein hagalgal, is in its center. That is, the eye of the chashmal is above, as understood that the Chashmal refers to the Chaylim 78, which refers to the wisdom, Ha-Chachma 78, and wisdom always is above, as understood from the verse, a wise man has his eyes in his head, Einav in his head. Moreover, it is self-understood that it is specifically the wisdom, Ha-Chachma 78, that makes the wise man wise. Thus, with the above in mind, it is understood that the eye of the Chashmal in a Chashmal refers to the foundation of the existence of the Chashmal and refers to the matter of the Chaylim, which is the eye of the intellect and is always above it, just as the eye of the chashmal and ha-chashmal is always above. Now, what you have yet to know is that the chashmal 378 refers to the vowels cholim tseire, which is the existence of the sphere of the intellect, and is drawn into novel being by the will of Hashem, blessed is He. Realize, however, is that every chashmal is brought into being by the singular name of Hashem's pre-existence intrinsic being, and that is Hashem, blessed is He, who conducts it at the very eye and source of its existence. Contemplate and realize that the eye of the chashmal, Ein HaChashmal, refers to the chaylim that moves the upper world, that is, the world of intellect. For the Chashmal refers to the radiance that is drawn to the supernal desire of Hashem, blessed is He. For the Shva Kamatz, 533, is like the appearance of the radiance and is described as like the eye of the Chashmal. Ke'ein HaChashmal, 533, in that it is drawn from the true reality of the Choylem, 78. It is called this because it inclines toward the Choylem in its pronunciation, not that it is a Choylem. Rather, it is only like the Choylem. In other words, it is like the eye of the Chashmal, Ke'ein HaChashmal, but it is not the actual eye of the Chashmal. As explained above, the Ein refers to the innermost point that is beyond other inner points, and therefore refers to the source of the inclination towards the pronunciation of the Choylem, even though the Shva Kamatz 533 is not a Choylem, but is only like the Choylem in that it is like the eye of the Chashmal, Ke'ein HaChashmal 533, but itself is not the actual eye of the Chashmal, Ein HaChashmal. We're going to stop here on page 79.